What you're about to watch is a recording of the 2025 Legal Update CEU for condominium board members that was presented via Zoom. This is just a recording and does not qualify as the actual CEU. It is intended to provide information on demand, giving you the option to revisit key topics whenever you need clarity, reinforcement, or a quick refresher. The video is a discussion for condominium association board members that covers the Florida statutes updated in the 2025 Florida House Bill 913. This is a copyrighted video by Ardor.
Just verify for me the screen is up, the border didn't come on?
Yes, it is up.
Excellent. Okay, so as we mentioned, this is the 2025 legislative update for condominium board members. This will qualify you for your 1-hour CEU. The title is The Important Changes Affecting Condo Associations, breaking down the new requirements that redefine your board's responsibilities. So as we mentioned earlier, House Bill 913 brings some really significant changes to the requirements for condominium associations, and they will no doubt continue to be adjusted as time goes on, but the impact for the near term is quite significant. So we're pleased that you're here with us to go over that, and this is not a training for all of the information related to each subject, but simply the updates that go along with the items from 718. So we're not going to talk all about the milestone inspection and explain all of it. What we will do is say, here are the things that were updated related to the legislation. This slide, basically you're attending via Zoom. That's how you'll get credit for your attendance. Our outline today is the discussion of association video conference meetings and the recording requirement related to that, electronic voting for elections and a new process requirement, the association's online registration and reporting requirement, new financial compliance requirements, milestone inspection program changes, structural integrity reserve study changes, and then a few miscellaneous changes throughout the statute. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the association video conference meetings and the fact that you are now required to record them. I put together a video that goes over the statute, and we'll take a few minutes to watch that.
Welcome. Florida House Bill 913, effective July 1st, 2025, made significant statutory changes to how condominium associations may conduct meetings using video conferencing technology. This discussion focuses on the new video conference meeting requirements, the rules governing virtual participation, and the association's responsibility to properly document and preserve these digital records. To begin, HB 913 has provided the definition of a video conference. In subsection 7:18, 103 item 33 has been added. Video conference means a real-time audio and video-based meeting between two or more people in different locations using video-enabled and audio-enabled devices. The notice for any meeting that will be conducted by video conference must have a hyperlink and call-in conference telephone number for unit owners to attend the meeting and must have a physical location where unit owners can also attend the meeting in person. All meetings conducted by video conference must be recorded, and such recording must be maintained as an official record of the association. So per the definition, a video conference is a real-time audio and video-based meeting between two or more people in different locations using video-enabled and audio-enabled devices. Must have a hyperlink and call-in conference telephone number for unit owners to attend the meeting. Must have a physical location where unit owners can also attend the meeting in person. Must be recorded. And the recording must be maintained as an official record of the association. This new definition effectively summarizes all of the changes to the statute. Florida Statute 718.111.12b5 notes that a board meeting may be conducted in person or by video conference. A board or committee member's participation in a meeting via telephone, real-time video conferencing, or similar real-time electronic or video communication counts toward a quorum, and such member may vote as if physically present. A speaker must be used so that the conversation of such members may be heard by the board or committee members attending in person, as well as by any unit owners present at a meeting. Therefore, board meetings may be conducted in person or by video conference. Board members attending board meetings via video conference are counted as physically present toward the quorum and allowed to vote. Florida Statute 718, 11112C1 further states, if the board meeting is to be conducted via video conference, the notice must state that such meeting will be via video conference and must include a hyperlink and a conference telephone number for unit owners to attend the meeting via video conference, as well as the address of the physical location where the unit owners can attend the meeting in person. If the meeting is conducted via video conference, it must be recorded, and such recording must be maintained as an official record of the association. Accordingly, while you may conduct the board meeting by video conference, there must be a physical location available for owners to attend the meeting. It must also be recorded and that recording maintained as part of the official records if video conferencing is used. Florida Statute 718, 11112D1 notes that for membership meetings, the annual meeting of the members must be held within 15 miles, formerly 45 miles, of the condominium property or within the same county as the condominium property. Also, if a unit owner meeting is conducted via video conference, a unit owner may vote electronically in the manner provided in Florida Statute 718-128. Florida Statute 718-11112D2 goes on. If the annual meeting is conducted via video conference, a quorum of the board must be physically present at the physical location of the meeting where owners can attend. If the unit owner meeting is conducted via video conference, the video conference must be recorded, and such recording must be maintained as an official record of the association. To repeat, the annual membership meeting must have a quorum of the board members physically present to conduct the meeting. If video conferencing is used, this meeting must be recorded and become part of the official records. Florida Statute 718, 11112, G2F regarding websites instructs that the video recording or a hyperlink to the video recording for all meetings of the association, the Board of Administration, any committee, and the unit owners, which are conducted by video conference over the preceding 12 months, must be on the owner's portal. So compliance to the recording and subsequent posting on the website applies to board, committee, and owner meetings. So the steps for compliance are: establish a process for recording meetings that are using video or audio conferencing. Determine how the recordings will be stored for access by owners. Make the necessary website changes to provide access to the recordings for 1 year after the meeting. All meetings must have a physical location. Membership meetings must have a quorum of board members physically present and be held within 15 miles or the county of the condominium property. It is the responsibility of board members and managers alike to ensure compliance with these new requirements. By complying with the new requirements in House Bill 913, boards not only meet their legal obligations, but also strengthen transparency and trust within the community. Properly recording meetings conducted through video conferencing ensures that all members, whether present in person or virtually, have equal access to the official record. It is essential for board members to adopt clear procedures, update policies, and coordinate with management to guarantee that every meeting is documented in accordance with Florida Statute 718. Doing so will protect the association, support accountability, and reinforce good governance practices moving forward. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so video conferencing meetings that use video conferencing have to be recorded now, and that recording has to be part of the official record, and that official record has to be available upon request. And also, if you have a website, has to be viewable from the association website. So any questions then related to the recording of the meetings requirement that's been adjusted or required now based on House Bill 913.
There have not been any questions yet in the Q&A. If anybody does have any questions about the content discussed and presented, then you guys are able to click on the Q&A and type them in.
Terrific. No questions, then we'll keep moving forward. And if one comes up later, certainly we'll be happy to do our best to answer it for you. All right, the next big change involves voting. You may or may not have an electronic voting process already for your association, but if you do not, then this new process requirement is specifically targeted for condominium associations who do not have a means for electronic voting using a third party. So next, we've got a video prepared to talk about the new process requirement for voting and meetings.
Welcome. The Florida House Bill 913 became effective July 1st, 2025, and makes a significant change to how condominium associations must handle electronic voting for elections. Whether you're a manager or board member, it's critical to understand how these changes affect elections and owner participation. For reference, we are dealing with Florida Statute 718-128, which is applicable to condominium associations. 718-128, titled Electronic Voting, outlined in 6 subsections the steps necessary to adopt electronic voting for an association, how owners could opt in and opt out of the online voting system, and the requirements to ensure the integrity and secrecy of the votes. There have been 2 changes to subsections 1 through 6. Also, a new subsection 7 has been added to address new requirements for associations that have not adopted an electronic voting system. The first change is to subsection 4. Previously, boards were required to provide a 14-day notice for the meeting to adopt the resolution for online voting. All of that notice language has been stricken. Therefore, only a standard 48-hour board meeting notice would be required for a meeting to adopt a resolution for online voting. Next, the language for item 6 has been entirely replaced. The new subsection 6 states, if at least 25% of the voting interests of a condominium petition the board to adopt a resolution for electronic voting for the next scheduled election, the board must hold a meeting within 21 days after receipt of the petition to adopt such resolution. The board must receive the petition within 180 days after the date of the last scheduled annual meeting. So the key numbers, if owners want to compel the board to adopt online voting, are 25% of the voting interests are required to petition, and the petition must be submitted to the board within 180 days after the last scheduled annual meeting. Some examples of electronic voting platforms that are compliant with the Florida Statute 718-128 subsections 1 through 6 are Host, Election Buddy, Simply Voting, Vote HOA Now, and Get Quorum. Next, a new 718-128 subsection 7 has been added. It opens with the statement in 7A, unless the association has adopted electronic voting in accordance with subsections 1 through 6. Accordingly, this indicates the guidelines that follow are only applicable if the association is not using a software platform for electronic voting. Subsection 7A continues. The association must designate an email address for receipt of electronically transmitted ballots. Electronically transmitted ballots must meet all the requirements of this subsection. So the first step, if the association does not have an electronic voting system, there must be an email address designated to receive ballots. Additionally, ballots must meet all the requirements in subsection 7, which we will walk through next. Subsection 7B states, a unit owner may electronically transmit a ballot to the email address designated by the association without complying with Statute 718-112-2D4 or the rules providing for the secrecy of ballots adopted by the division. The association must count completed ballots that are electronically transmitted to the designated email address, provided the completed ballots comply with the requirements of this subsection. In short, owners may submit ballots to the designated email address without regard to the rules providing for secrecy, and the association must count them toward quorum as well as the votes. Subsection 7, C goes on, a ballot that is electronically transmitted to the association must include all of the following. 1. A space for the unit owner to type in his or her unit number. 2. A space for the unit owner to type in his or her first and last name, which also functions as the signature of the unit owner for purposes of signing the ballot. 3. The following statement in capitalized letters and in a font size larger than any other font size used in the email from the association to the unit owner. Waiving the secrecy of your ballot is your choice. You do not have to waive the secrecy of your ballot in order to vote. By transmitting your completed ballot through email to the association, you waive the secrecy of your completed ballot. If you do not wish to waive your secrecy but wish to participate in the vote that is the subject of this ballot, please attend the in-person meeting, during which the matter will be voted on. Subsection 7D adds, a unit owner must transmit his or her completed ballot to the email address designated by the association no later than the scheduled date and time of the meeting during which the matter is being voted on. Based on this new subsection, it appears necessary for associations to prepare a fillable ballot in PDF or Word format that may be submitted by owners via email to the designated email address. The ballot should include the association name, meeting description, meeting date and time, and instructions on how to complete the ballot. Checkboxes or text boxes for candidate selections, and the required text boxes for the owner's first name, last name, and unit address. Also, it is recommended that the waiver of secrecy notice be included on the ballot. The ballot should then be sent via email to all owners with a message that includes the waiving of secrecy statement. The ballot should also be posted on the website. While this is a suggested best practice, please know that per the statute, as long as email is received at the designated email box with all of the necessary information, it must be counted as a ballot regardless of formatting. As an alternative, you may choose to simply send an email to the owners letting them know that they have the ability to vote via email and provide them with the necessary information to do so. Be sure to include the waiving of secrecy statement as required by the statute. Finally, subsection 7, E-notes. There is a rebuttable presumption that an association has reviewed all folders associated with the email address designated by the association to receive ballots. If a board member, an officer, or an agent of the association, or a manager licensed under Part 8 of Chapter 468, provides a sworn affidavit attesting to such review. So, all folders associated with the email address designated by the association to receive ballots, the inbox, spam, junk, etc., must be checked for ballots. Then, a board member, officer, agent, or manager must provide a sworn, notarized affidavit attesting to this thorough review of the folders. In summary, if a condominium association has not adopted an online system for electronic voting, they must 1. Designate an email address to receive electronic ballots. 2. Inform owners of their ability to submit electronic ballots to the email address, the information required, and their secrecy waiver rights. 3. Do a thorough search of the folders and count all of the ballots received through the designated email address. 4. Submit a sworn affidavit of compliance. The amendments to Florida statute under HB 913 represent a significant step toward modernizing the voting framework for condominium associations, even when traditional online voting systems are not adopted. Going forward, associations that embrace these changes thoughtfully stand to improve owner participation, transparency, and electoral legitimacy. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so another huge change to the requirements for condominium associations related to elections. Again, this applies if you do not already have an electronic voting system in place, You're going to have to set up an email address to receive electronic ballots and then follow this process. It does have issues. You're not permitted to verify the incoming email address. There's no way that you're in the statute given the opportunity to be sure that these are the actual owners in the community. They're simply coming into this email address with a name and address, and you have to take it at face value. Additionally, you have to continue to count these ballots right up until the meeting starts. So whatever email address you're using, you'll have to have access to at the meeting and count the ballots till the cutoff right as the meeting starts. So a variety of challenges related to this new system for voting. And if you do not want to have to deal with all of those challenges or inefficiencies or uncertainties, the best thing to do is to adopt an electronic voting system that does have the secrecy, that does have the ability to audit the votes and so forth. One of those systems that we talked about in the very beginning. So the statute now requires you either one, to have a voting system that supports the secrecy, has the tracking, has the ability to identify homeowners, all of those things, or two, have this kind of wide open system of electronic voting available to the owners. So we'll move on with the next big change, or at least the next change that I thought was a big change. And that is the requirement for every association, condominium association and co-op association, to create an online account and report a number of different things that you've never had to report before. Now, while the legislation became effective and most of these laws became effective July 1, the requirement for this online registration became effective October 1st, 2025. So hopefully you've already begun that and maybe even completed it. This online registration called for a number of things, new information that the DBPR had never tracked before in this manner. So you need to set up an online account with the name of the association, an email for the association, and the MA and PIN numbers for the association. MA stands for managing agent. It's confusing. That sounds like your management company, but really the MA number or managing agent at the inception of the community was the community. So the MA number is the community's number in the DBPR. If you need to get the MA and PIN numbers, the MA and PIN numbers are on page 2 of the annual billing for your $4 per door condo fee. Or you can contact the DBPR directly at their CTMH question line, helpline. Then it goes on, you're going to need the association's main address, the association manager name and license number, the association management company name and license number, the current number of board members, based on your documents, the min and max number of board members required, how many current vacancies on the board, and each board member's first name, last name, title, and it also has space for their contact information, email and phone. However, as you're going through filling this out, those don't have asterisks next to them as required information. So in essence, the only required information here, first name, last name, title of every board member. Then it moves on to building assessment information, the number of buildings on the property, how the ownership shares of the common elements are determined, and that's basically asking whether they're equal or they're prorated based on some percentage or however it might be. And then for every building, each building on the property, the physical address, the total habitable stories, total uninhabitable stories, total number of residential units, and the year certificate of occupancy was issued. Now, certificate of occupancy becomes a difficult problem in communities that have been around for an extended period of time, maybe 15, 20 years. The chain of the certificates has been kind of broken. So in the case, if you don't have certificate of occupancy, certainly, the date the first person moved in, or to be even more kind of cautious, you could use the date of your documents that they were created. If there's any construction in the common elements in the previous calendar year, and the description of that construction that's taking place, the current year total assessments excluding the reserves, the current year total annual amount of reserves collected, the current year total number of special assessments issued, the current year total annual amount of special assessments, the current year purposes of the special assessments. And then it also asks you, anticipating the next year, what the following year numbers for all of those things will be. And then finally, it requires that you list all financial institutions that the association maintains accounts with. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, we're going to produce this as a PDF for you, and you'll get a copy of this. And so every place that we have videos and or links like this one to the Condo and Co-op CTMH online reporting, those will be active links. You can click on that link and take a look at it online. In addition to that online reporting for the association itself, there is new online reporting for the CSRS that is listed in the same area as establishing the online association account. And that requires similar information, name, email, MA and PIN numbers, and then it requires more information than previously needed or required by the DBPR for CSRS reporting. Asks if it's a combined or single project, if it's the initial report or amended, then all the project licenses included in the CSRS, the project license number, address information, number of habitable stories, number of inhabitable stories, total number of units within the building, then professional type of individual completing the CSRS, name of the professional completing the CSRS, license or certification of the professional completing the CSRS, the name of the company completing the CSRS. And then it wants to know the financial information. How much did it cost you to have a CSRS completed? That's that structural integrity reserve study. The association, the amount in the association reserves, and the CSRS reserve schedule, and whether it will result in special assessment, loan, or a line of credit for the association, and the amount of special assessment, loan, or line of credit that it created. The completion and distribution information. So when was the CSRS completed? When was it delivered to the owners? And the method of delivery to the owners. Optionally, you have the ability to attach the actual CSRS account to the reporting. Again, to be of assistance, the link for reporting to the DBPR for your CSRS information is on the slide. Okay, so this is terrific. We're moving right along. We're doing great. There's some new financial compliance requirements. The general reserve requirements. You've always had general reserve requirements as a condominium. The previous explanation of what you were supposed to reserve for in the general reserve included roofs, asphalt painting, and anything greater than $10,000 that would need replacement down the road as a capital item. That number of $10,000 has been changed to $25,000. And as a way of assisting you, we've given you all the specific references in the statute if you want to go look them up. Pooling reserves, your association reserves have always been able to be pooled, but in the past it required, if you wanted to pool reserves that already existed as line item reserves, that you get a vote from the majority of the owners before you could do that. Now, after HB 913 went into effect July 1st, no owner vote is required to move to pooled funding of reserves. You can simply move all of your reserves to the pooled funding method. Financial reporting, there's been a bit of relief. Within 180 days after the end of the fiscal year, the association must send the year-end financial report to all owners, or, and this used to be and, which is a relief, or send a notice that it's available upon request. So clearly the easier thing is to send the notice that it's available if they request it. Also, the year-end reporting previously had a deadline of 120 days. Now it's 180 days after the end of your fiscal year. You need to get your cash disbursements report or whatever you're required to do, whether it's a compilation or an audit or a review, whatever it might be, needs to be done by 180 days after the end of the fiscal year. Additionally, now there is an affidavit required to be executed by an officer or director confirming that the association completed the compliance. They were compliant with this. Your management company can't do it. You have to do it as a board member. One of the officers or board member has to do it. And that just reminded me, I didn't finish answering all the previous question, and that was who does the filing for your account on the DBPR? The answer is you or the management company, either one. We do have associations that are small. They do it themselves. They only have accounting, services from the management company. Full service management company should be doing it for you. So I would just, especially if you're the secretary of the association, you should understand that it's getting accomplished and who's doing it. And then once it's indicated that it's accomplished, you should get online and verify that it looks good. Investing the association funds, 718, 111, 16A and B. The board must make its best efforts to do prudent investing of the association funds, minimize risk, maximize returns. You can invest in certificates of deposit, savings accounts, commercial banks, savings and loans, and credit unions. Used to require voting of the unit owners, now no voting. The board has the option to use all of those instruments, financial instruments, to be able to maximize returns for the community. Budget adoption, there's been a change. It was always the case that if your budget was going to exceed 115% of the prior year budget, that the members would have an opportunity to vote on an alternative budget. However, in the past, it was the members that had to come up with that budget. That's no longer the case. The board has to simultaneously propose a substitute budget that it sends along with the budget that they want to pass. The statute says the alternative budget eliminates discretionary expenditures. I'm not sure, most of the time you're not spending a lot of things on discretionary funds. However, that's the point of the alternative budget. So you come up with an alternative budget, and then the statute says the members are allowed to vote for the alternative budget that's less than the 115%. And if they don't vote to pass that budget, then the board may pass the budget that they originally wanted to pass. So just by way of note, that mixes two different types of meetings. It's going to become a little bit like an election where there's the members meeting, and then typically just after it's board meeting to elect the officials. So you're going to have a members meeting. It's going to be noticed as a members meeting, and the purpose of that meeting is going to be the membership's opportunity to vote on the alternative budget, and then follow it up with a board meeting where the board determines if they haven't voted as members on the alternative budget, then you are allowed to vote in the budget as originally intended. That's in excess of 115%. The members' meeting has to be handled like every members' meeting that has voting. There have to be proxies. There has to be the clear indication of why this is happening and what the numbers are and so forth. So you're going to have a membership meeting and an board meeting to be able to finalize a budget if it's at 115% or greater. Waiving financial reporting. Owners have the right to waive year-end financial reporting by a majority vote of all the owners. Formerly, it was just a majority of the owners at an appropriately quorumed membership meeting. Reserves for uninhabitable buildings, that's a common sense relief. If there's a building that's been declared uninhabitable due to a natural emergency, certainly some of our communities experience that, you can pause reserve funding for that building without a vote of the owners. Formerly, it did require that vote of the owners. Milestone inspections. This is for those communities that have to do milestone inspections. They clarified what a three-story building is by saying it's 3 or more habitable stories. So that was always a question. If I have a parking garage plus 2 stories on top of it with units, is that a 3-story building that is subject to the requirement for a milestone inspection? Well, they've cleared it up. It's only habitable stories that have to be counted to be 3 stories and above. Habitable, defined by Florida Building Code, is as living, eating, or cooking areas. It excludes garages, closets, and hallways. Disclosure. If an engineer or architect intends to bid on the milestone inspection that they're performing, they have to disclose that in writing to the association that they intend to bid on it. The clear indication here is you don't want somebody that's self-dealing. And so you want to be clear that if an association doing a milestone inspection or a company doing a milestone inspection is intending to bid on it, that they're not finding things that need repair that really are not subject to the milestone inspection requirements. Additionally, for the milestone inspection, for a budget adopted on or before December 31, 2028, so for the next couple of years, if the association has completed a milestone inspection within the previous 2 years, with approval of a majority of the total voting interest, so all the owners, a majority of the owners, the association may temporarily pause reserve funding contributions or reduce the amount of reserve funding for the purpose of funding those repairs recommended by the milestone inspection. And you can do that for no more than 2 consecutive annual budgets. So another reasonable idea, the thought is milestone inspection, structural things are found that need to be repaired. And so during the time you're doing those repairs for up to 2 years, you can suspend the replacement reserve funding requirements. But again, it takes an approval of the majority of the total voting interests in the community. Structural integrity reserve studies, closely tied to the milestone inspection. Structural integrity reserve studies, they were always intended to be funded by regular assessments or special assessments. It has now been extended or expanded that the statute allows you to fund them with lines of credit or loans. So a special assessment line of credit or loan to fund SERS reserves. In other words, you're looking forward, you need to put so much money away each year. So the required money to be put away can be funded by regular assessment, special assessment, line of credit, or loan now. If the association moves to the special assessment, line of credit, or loan, it has to be approved with a vote of the majority of the owners. However, if you're doing the repairs that were part of a SIRS study or a milestone inspection, to fund the repairs, you can get a line of credit or a loan without the approval of the owners. Four-family dwelling is exempt from SIRS requirements, so you don't have to do those if your condo is 4 units or less. The SIRS completion date, it was supposed to be done if you had a building that was put in service before July 1, 2022. You must now complete the SIRS by December 31, 2025. The due date was December 31, 2024. The legislature came along and said, okay, and it came out in July of 2025 and said, you know what, we'll extend the date. Most people already had them done if they were required. So it's not a big help. If it is also related to the SIRS, you're allowed to delay that. So if you have a milestone inspection, and again, you're doing the repairs related to the milestone inspection, you can delay the completion of a SIRS study for up to 2 years to be able to focus the financial resources of the community on doing the repairs from the milestone study. So not only does that provide some financial relief, but it also makes sense, right? Because if you're doing repairs, you really shouldn't have a structural integrity reserve study until all of those repairs are complete. So they're kind of, in their mind, giving you a 2-year window to be able to do that. An affidavit now is required by an officer or director acknowledging the receipt of the completed SIRS study. Official records on the website, they have to be posted within 30 days after being received or created. And the approved minutes of all board meetings for the past 12 months must be on the website. And website required for official records. It used to be you were required, or even currently up until January 1, 2026, to have a website if you have 150 units or more. Now effective January 1, 2026, it changes to 25 units or more. Management conflict of interest, if it's above $2,500, that's a repair or activity that's being proposed, wasn't identified in the management contract, then it needs to identify that it's a conflict of interest, that it can still move forward, but it just needs to be very clear in the approval of any management conflict. Manager license revocation, manager online account disclosure, those relate directly to the managers. Property insurance coverage, it remained the same. They just changed the language to say that you needed an appraisal every 3 years. It formerly said every 36 months. If you have a multi condominium community, you can use the 250-year windstorm event to be the requirement instead of the cost of the replacement or repair. Pre-sale disclosure, the time to be able to change your mind has been moved from 3 to 7 days. And condos with a portion of the building or within a multiple building parcel, there were some changes to the statute that were retroactive, but they just wanted to make it clear it didn't apply as a legal item if things had already been adjudicated. Jurisdiction of the CTMH was extended to allow for them to oversee the completion of milestone inspections and completion of the repairs required by the milestone inspections, requirement for associations to maintain an insurance policy and fidelity bonding for all persons who disperse funds, board member education requirements, reporting requirements for structural integrity reserve studies. They added the investigations by the division to a broad heading of official investigations to give them more power related to those items. Emergency powers, they've allowed the evacuation order not just to be state or mandatory. Now it can be a local order. if you have to remove hurricane protection to do some repair to somebody's unit that is not related to the hurricane protection, it depends on whether your documents say they have to pay for it or not, how you have to handle that. And amendments affecting non-residential condominiums shouldn't be anybody typically that's on this call, but if you're a business condo, only if you need to change requirements, it only requires those affected units and also their lien holders. Okay, with 1 minute to spare, we have gone through the highlights of the changes of HB 913, the 2025 legislative update. At this point, we'll just summarize what you're going to get, and then we'll entertain any questions anybody might have so everybody else can get off if they want to. You are going to get via email your certification of completing a 1-hour continuing education course per the requirement by the DBPR. You are going to get a copy of this presentation, an entire copy in PDF format with live links to the videos and to the other items that we linked in the presentation. And finally, you'll also get a link to the entire HB 913 legislative language. That's 191 pages long. We just covered it in 1 hour. So we appreciate you being with us this afternoon. Hopefully you found it beneficial and informative, and we'll entertain any questions any carryover questions that anybody may have.